So I want to talk about the realities of living in Hawaii, day-to-day type of things, and 5 concessions that you're gonna have to make or that we make to live in Hawaii each day that people in other parts of the country probably don't have to deal with. First, let me just say that living in Hawaii is such a privilege. It's a beautiful place to live. The people are amazing, and there really is nowhere else in the world like it. I'm really thankful to have been able to grow up here, but I do know that things are changing. People are leaving because the pros of living in Hawaii just don't cut it anymore compared to the cons of living here. And I think it's important that people understand that. So the first thing is forget owning a home. When I was younger, I thought that owning a home was possible. As long as I went to school, got good grades, worked really hard, a home would sort of just be there for me, kind of like a job. I didn't think I'd be able to afford a home in Kahala or Hawaii Kai or Kailua, but I thought maybe I could get a home in Salt Lake or Aiea, Pearl City. But fast forward to 2019, and that dream is pretty much impossible. I mean, yes, you can inherit a home, which a lot of people do here in Hawaii. So if you get the home from grandma or grandpa or auntie or uncle, then hey, that's really great. And as we say in Hawaii, you unlucky bugger, that you're able to have the opportunity to get a home. But I think if you had to compete as a local against the market, it's really hard. I know that homes have always been expensive in Hawaii, especially when you compare it to the mainland. But it's becoming more and more expensive relative to the incomes and cost of living here in Hawaii. See, the thing is, I want to know if those aunties and uncles who have homes now, if they could actually afford to buy their own home right now. Like if they had to start today and they were maybe 30 or 40 years old, would they be able to buy the homes that are being priced right now? My guess is no. And it's great that it worked out for them, that they were able to buy at a certain time, but it's hard for the rest of us. It's kind of like playing Monopoly and being able to go around the board for a few times. Most of the properties are wide open, and if not, the rents are so cheap that it's not that big a deal. But imagine playing Monopoly after certain people have played 10 or 20 rounds, and then you jump into the game, and it's like after a while pretty much all the properties are taken, or if you land on a property, there's going to be houses and hotels, so the rents are going to be so expensive. That's kind of how it is here in Hawaii. The people who were able to buy homes early, they got to sort of pick and choose, and it was a lot cheaper. But now if you try to go, and this is like the Monopoly board here, it's a lot harder. There's not too many new homes being added, so we're all competing for a lot of the older properties. So the reality is, unless you are able to inherit a house, home ownership is probably out. And for the people that do make it, because there are people that do make it, they work hard, they save money, and there's the right opportunity, they're right there, they're able to purchase it. And congratulations to them. That's an amazing accomplishment here in Hawaii. But for most people, the reality is definitely it's out of reach, and I don't know how it's going to be for future generations. If it's so hard right now, I can't imagine how hard it's going to be for them. The second concession is that shipping just takes longer, and there's a lot more problems with shipping. We're on a bunch of islands in the middle of the Pacific, and things just take longer to get here. And a big question is, Amazon Prime or no Amazon Prime? Does it even make a difference? If you live in Hawaii, I don't think the 2 to 3 day shipping actually happens. But it's really hit or miss. Sometimes it actually does come pretty quickly, but I found that without Amazon Prime, if I just order $25 or more, packages tend to arrive within 7 days of when I place the order. And that's just with like the free shipping option. Obviously, it varies depending on where you live or where the Amazon warehouse is, but for the most part, that's pretty much held true. So for me, it didn't make any sense to continue to pay for Amazon Prime, this great service, if here in Hawaii we don't really have that. Now there's Whole Foods and other things you can take advantage of. But in terms of the prime shipping, the 2 to 3 day shipping, it just doesn't happen here. And again, that's completely understandable. Another thing about shipping that I don't quite get here is the whole lithium ion battery. I get it. I know that they can catch fire on a plane, but it's really hard to get camera batteries and other types of batteries here where you can't order. Like, they just won't ship it here. So I've had to get my batteries either asking people to bring it for me, or when I go away to the mainland or to Japan, I can go and pick up the batteries myself. And that's the way I've been able to work around that. But if you try to buy batteries here, sometimes they're a little bit more expensive. The third concession is that in Hawaii, you pay more for less. Everything here just costs more. That's just how it is with shipping and other things. It just costs more. And in fact, I'm not sure I can even think of one thing that is cheaper in Hawaii than in other places. Maybe Lay's, maybe papaya. Other than that, I don't know of any other thing that we can buy here that's cheaper. But it's also the quality of what we get here. It's just not the same. And I know they try their best to ship the food here as quickly as they can. It's refrigerated and then we see it in the market. But it's really discouraging sometimes when you go to the mainland or you go to other places and you go to a supermarket and you see food that looks so much better and is like half the price. So we end up paying more for older food. And I guess that's just what happens when you live in the Pacific, but it is something to think about. So basically, everything you can think of is more expensive in Hawaii. And I won't go into the tiny little details. I already made a video about that on this YouTube channel. But I just wish that some of the necessities in life didn't cost so much, like food and electricity. Like, I understand if you want to live a luxurious life, you want to live in a big house, you want to take trips, you want to buy expensive brand products. Okay, yeah, it's going to cost a lot of money. I understand that. But if you want to live like a simple life, right? You just want to have simple foods and simple things. It's hard to do that here. There's not a cheap option usually for that type of lifestyle. It's just expensive and then more expensive. And the thing is, over time, those little costs, even though they may seem small, they add up. And I think that's why when people move from Hawaii away to the mainland, they just feel rich. And it's not because they make more money or they have this brilliant financial plan. It's just the cost of living is so much less that you can do so much more with whatever you have. The price of paradise is definitely real. And it's something that I think people should consider about their life in Hawaii, whether they're looking at it from far away or they're living here. It's important, I think, to determine whether that price is worth it. The fourth concession is working multiple jobs. I'm really thankful that I only have to work one job to survive. But the reality is that a lot of people have to work multiple jobs. They're working sometimes 7 days a week just to make it by. And that's really tough because it means you have less time for family, you have less time for self-improvement and having fun, and you have less time for enjoying Hawaii. I remember this one summer, I worked 2 jobs. I worked at a golf course in the morning, and after that I worked at a summer fun. So at the golf course, I would start before 5 a.m. and I would work until about 7 or 8 a.m. And then after that, I would get ready for my second job, which was to go do summer fun all day, get out about 3 or 4 o'clock, and then I'd go home. During that time, I had no freedom. I couldn't go out because I had to go to bed early because I had to wake up early the next day to start work at 5 a.m. And that job was every single day, no holidays. In looking back at that, I definitely see where it was exhausting. Physically, mentally, emotionally, it was just draining to have that type of lifestyle. But when I look back, it's interesting because I think I got used to it. My body just adjusted to that, and I did it somehow. But it was hard, and my quality of life was definitely down. it's really hard to live that way and just have that burden over you when you're so stressed out, where you have to work so much just to get by. And in Hawaii, it's pretty tough. Again, I'm really thankful for what I have, but I know some families, some people, they don't have that same opportunity, and it's really hard. All right, number 5, you're always gonna be in traffic. All right, maybe you're not always gonna be in traffic, but you're gonna be in traffic a lot. And the older I get, the more I realize this island is pretty small. The local population has grown over the years, but really it's the visitor numbers that have grown tremendously, which is good for the economy, for tourists, but it's grown a lot, especially here on Oahu. And I think that it's the visitors and just how this island is sort of planned in terms of where people live compared to where people work that creates a lot of the traffic. Just on Oahu alone, every day, you have thousands of people that live on the west side, and they battle each other for 2 hours to get into downtown Honolulu. And then they work all day. And then in the afternoon, they battle each other to go back from 4:30 to 6 p.m., trying to get back to their house and cook dinner and watch the news and just relax. And I know traffic is horrible where you are, or where you are, or where you are. I know it's really bad. But in Hawaii, I think the traffic is the worst, especially relative to the distances that we need to go. So when I got stuck in traffic in California, I was like, oh, okay, this makes sense. California is huge. There's a lot of people. I get that. But this is Hawaii. It's supposed to be tranquil and peaceful and quiet. And yet we have this really bad traffic most days. I think traffic is just something that people have accepted here as normal, and it's too bad it's that way. We measure not in distances between two locations, but the time it will take to get from one spot to the other. And so this video is not meant to say how terrible Hawaii is, because really Hawaii is a great place to live. Like I said, growing up here, it was amazing. Living here, amazing. And now being an adult here, I still think it's amazing. It's beautiful. The people are great. Food is great. This is home for me and for a lot of other people. But just know that we put up with a lot to be here. A lot of people put up a lot just to be here. And I know out there, people are deciding whether or not it's worth it anymore. For me, I still think it's worth it. But for a lot of people, they just decided it's not worth it. And a lot of people in the future will decide this isn't worth it anymore. I know several friends and family members that are going to leave soon. And for them, it obviously was not worth it anymore. And I think when they go away and they move to wherever they're going to move to, they're going to realize that they don't miss Hawaii as much as they thought they would. Yeah, they may miss the beach, they may miss some of the food, but the overall struggle, day-to-day stuff, they're just going to think it's this breath of fresh air. When they get out, they wake up, and they don't have that extra burden that maybe they had here in Hawaii. Is it worth it? And that's something that each of us is going to have to ask ourselves. So thanks for watching this video, and aloha.